Okay, good afternoon, everyone. How are we all going? Everyone's good and ready? We have a packed room and really keen to get started. So today this afternoon, we are judging the 2019 AIPP Queensland Epson Professional Photography Awards commercial category, sponsored by Aon. My name is Sarah McKenna. I will be your panel chair for this session. I feel like I've said that a few times, but you're lucky enough to have me again. And I am fortunate enough to have young Claire Pinder as a scribe, and thank you to everyone at the back who's helping us. We've got Sarah, Meredith and Ralph. The preamble. The commercial category is intended for images that could be commissioned by a business for marketing, advertising and editorial use. This includes, but is not limited to, advertising, aerial, architecture, corporate, food, industrial, fashion and sport photography. Images will have generally been created with a specific brief, often under the supervision of an agency or client representative. The subject matter isn't the concern, but rather the purpose for which the photograph was created. Entries will be judged with a broad view in the context of a commercial photograph. The commercial category will be judged in 3 sections: commissioned, self-commissioned and sport. The category is judged in 3 sections to assist the judges in their assessment. However, there is only one award. So the category rules and requirements. Entries may include non-photographic elements such as text on a page if it was used as part of a brief, as long as the image submitted remains substantially photographic in origin. I've been really good at this one. Polyptychs, diptychs and triptychs are permitted. Entrants must provide a caption of up to 50 words to assist the judges in assessing the image in context. Caption information should be limited to either the intended, possible or actual purpose of use and may include other details of the commission. The winner of the category will receive the core category trophy and the title relevant to the nature of the work entered. For example, the 2019 AIPP Sport Photographer of the Year can be requested if the winning submission contains 4 sport images. And if we're all ready to begin the category, everyone at the back is ready? Excellent. Can we have if we can just pause for a moment. And we're just about ready. Okay, first print, please. So the first part of this category is the sport, and the caption is "The purebred Arabian stallion, Ashur Al Hassan, on the lead with a pro handler, displayed at the Queensland Arabian Horse State Championship 2018 at Caboolture. The Arabian horse is striking. Its entire appearance exudes energy, intelligence, courage and nobility, and is my greatest passion." This print has scored 70. Adam, can I have a comment from you, please?
Yeah, I think crucially we sort of want to see a bit more of the animal, sort of the feet and the tail, just to give that full expression of the energy that's within the image. Alternatively, crop it nice and tight and just sort of give us less so that we get a little bit more out of it.
Thank you, Adam. Can we have our next print, please? Jack Newman of the University of Queensland powers through the men's individual time trial competition during the 2018 Unisport Nationals Championship held on the Gold Coast. Anticipated use, editorial, self-commissioned. Thank you, judges. This print scores 75. Leslie, are you okay to make a comment? Thank you.
Yes. Look, this is a very competent sport image of a panning technique, keeping the subject pin sharp as they're riding past the photographic viewpoint at high speed. But apart from that, I'm not seeing any element which is going to take it further into an award standard. I'm also finding that the cropping, I would have loved to have seen a little bit more space on the right-hand side rather than the back of the rider.
Thank you, Leslie. If we can have a blank screen, please. That is the sport images for this commercial category. And just resetting for the next part. So the next part of this category is commissioned. Can we have our first print, please? Image commissioned for the Queensland Theatre Sports Championships at the Brisbane Comedy Festival for use in print, social media and digital signage. This print scores 81, the silver award. Adam, can I have a comment from you, please?
Yeah, great interpretation of the sort of the content and subject matter. I just probably found some of those shadows to be a bit sort of muddy for me to kind of push it a bit higher, and potentially the kind of chromatic aberration or whatever you'd call it that around the lights, the colour toning maybe is more distracting than it adds to the actual image. But well done to the author. It's quite captivating.
Thanks, Adam. And can we have our next print, please? OSCO, General Marketing for Past Projects. The title again is OSCO, General Marketing for Past Projects. This print scores 76. I'd like a comment, if I may, please, from Tony.
I would like to see it slightly different crop on this image. I think it would probably be a little bit more dynamic.
Thank you, Tony. Next print, please. An aerial view of the Qantas satellite at the Brisbane Domestic Airport, an image used as part of the master plan submission document to the federal government demonstrating the current airport and its future planned expansion. Thank you, judges. This print scores 83, a silver award. If I can have a comment, please, Leslie.
Very competent silver award, beautifully presented, great printing, very strong graphics, and the hint of the expansion in the top right-hand corner and in the bottom right-hand corner is demonstrating more of the caption.
Thank you, Leslie. May we have our next print, please? Commissioned as an artwork to display in a dance academy studio featuring one of their dancers. The brief was the brief was Swan Lake inspired. I will read that again. Commissioned as an artwork to display in a dance academy studio featuring one of their dancers. The brief was Swan Lake inspired. This print has scored 83, silver award. I'd like a comment, please, from Kelly. Ah, that was coincidental.
Again, a slightly different crop, either more of the legs. You can just see such a snippet of these sort of fishnet sort of tights at the bottom, just to lead up to that, or come in a bit tighter, perhaps. But I just think a little bit more depth down the bottom would have probably lifted me up a few more points.
Excellent feedback. Thank you, Kelly. Can we have our next print, please? Image captured for a professional trainer for the promotion of her business and also to garner sponsorship from gym clothing brand Gymshark. This print scores 77. If I can get a comment, please, from Tony.
A good professional practice. I'm sure the client would be happy with it, but just needs needs something else to take it up to the award standard.
Thank you, Tony. Can we have our next print, please? Shot for a high school production of Strictly Ballroom the Musical. Image was used with show logos and associated text overset for posters and program cover. And we are judging the 2019 AIPP Queensland Epson Professional Photography Awards commercial category, sponsored by Aon. This print scores 78. A comment, please, Kelly?
Again, it's the finer things. It's just the handling some of the post-production work, especially around her hairline. Just that attention to detail, and the skin tones are a little bit funky. I think they just needed to be. Again, it's just a little bit heavily handed.
Thank you, Kelly. We'll have a quick judges change, please. We'll keep you all on your toes. Leslie, can I ask you, thank you very much for your time thus far, and I'll bring in Faru, please. And we'll have our next print, please. The long-awaited Brisbane Airport second runway under construction due to completion for mid-2020. The image was part of a series that was used as part of social media and the master plan document submission to the federal government. Document change and planner future development. This print scores 83 Silver Award with a challenge from Adam Finch. Adam is on 88, which is 5 points or more above the announced score, so he can challenge. Adam, you have two 83s, an 82 and a 77 to work with.
Yeah, look, I really enjoy the perspective of this particular image, and I'm going off memory at the moment. There's this fantastic, it has the sense of being a completely overhead vertical with no sense of depth or perspective from a distance. You get up close and you actually realise it's been kind of brought forward so that we can see the depth of the excavators, we can see the depth of the trenches and all the other elements. So it's both beautifully graphic because of that straight perspective that we see, but also from a commercial perspective and from a usage perspective, that everything has more shape and more sense of how far through the project it has become. So I feel this is really showing some great expertise and excellence from the photographer. I'm in silver distinction at 88.
Thank you, Adam. Jacinta, you're on 77.
Yep, I struggled with this image trying to find a focal point and to understand the story from what was set out to us as the commentary, knowing that it's something to do with an airline. I know that you're reading it, but this is not my genre that I'm not used to. I'm listening, but I just found a little parts of it was muddy and over sharpened. So from a technical point of view, that's the aspect that I took from it. So I was judging it technically.
Tony on 83.
Yeah, I scored it a good solid silver. I'm listening, Adam, and maybe I did shy away a little bit. I do like the detail, and as you say, the presentation of it as you first appear from an aerial view, but when you get up there and look at the detail, there's a lot more detail in there. So yeah, I'm listening, and I'll probably go up.
Thank you, Tony. Adam, your right of reply.
I'm glad you reminded me of the word aerial, because this is, you're selling this to people in the airline genre, airline community, so having a twist of perspective of what they would be normally used to just makes this even more captivating for me. The muddy areas, I'm potentially thinking might be mud, because this is a construction site. There's these wonderful tyre tracks, there's all of these elements going through. Although maybe there isn't a completely, you don't lock on to a particular point in the image, but what I do is I get up and explore right the way through, and I get rewarded with little elements as I do so. I feel this is a silver distinction, and I'm at 88.
Thank you, Adam. Your score stays at 88. If all other judges can rescore now, please. Silver with distinction at 86. Good discussion, and we'll have our next print, please. Osco Aspley. This print scores 81, silver award. Can I have a comment from Jacinta, please, just under that?
I just wanted more story, to be honest. I was really struggling with caption, so just wanting to know what we're actually judging overall, apart from the technical ability of an image.
Thank you, Jacinta. And we'll have our next print, please. Image commissioned by the bar Finney Isles as fridge decals showcasing a quirky representation of their core staff members. This print scores 77. Farouk, can I have a comment from you, please?
Yes, it's such a good professional practice. I think there's a bit harsh light in some faces, especially in the second person at the left and the first person at the right. Maybe I really encourage photographers just take care of this lighting and also maybe perhaps giving some more expression to these faces, add to the story as well.
Thank you, Farouk. And I'll do a quick judges change, please. Thank you very much, Tony Holden. And if I can bring on Mel Anderson. And we'll have our next print, please. Image commissioned for Around the Campfire, Big Fork Theatre's kid-friendly Brisbane Comedy Festival event for use in print, online and digital signage. Thank you, judges. This print scores 81, silver award. Mel, in the hot seat, you're right on 81. I'll get a comment from you, please.
Yeah, congratulations on a silver award. I think it's been a well-executed concept. There's a lot of engagement. The technique has been well handled, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mel. And we'll have our next print, please. Shot for a theatre production of Les Miserables. Image was to be used in commemorative program with text overset on the left side. Character is lonely and in love with another character who is in turn in love with another. This print scores 77. Faru, can I get a comment from you again, please?
Yeah, that's an interesting subject matter to capture. The color palette is beautifully done, but in terms of narrative and communication and story, there is nothing in the background or around the main subject to add to a story so we can get it.
Thank you, Faru. Can we have our next print, please? Image created for the Cloakroom Bar in Brisbane, CBD, showcasing the experience of receiving expertly balanced and styled cocktails and used in promotional capacity internationally. This print scores 76. If I can have a comment, please, from Adam.
Yeah, I'd probably be inclined to say just sort of be very careful with your highlights, in particular sort of on the hand and around there. I didn't particularly like how the reflection kind of went straight to black at the bottom. A more gradual fade out would probably be a little nicer. And then just bringing up a little bit more detail in the bar behind. I can sort of see a reference to the bottles, but it would be nicer to have a bit more of a glow there, I think, behind the bartender.
Thank you, Adam. And can we have our next print, please? The refurbished foyer for 259 Queen Street, Brisbane, looking into the architectural frame from the GPO next door, a part of the portfolio images for built construction. Tony, can you step in for Faru, please? So the caption is again, the refurbished foyer for 259 Queen Street, Brisbane, looking into the architectural frame from the GPO next door, a part of the portfolio images for built construction. This print scores 79. A comment, if I can, please, Jacinta?
Just the highlight on the lamp at the top there sort of was bringing me down, and also the actual person in the background. I probably wanted it. I know it's nice, the movement, but probably just a little bit less movement of the subject.
Thanks, Jacinta. Next print, please. Image commissioned for digital and print marketing of Titanic the Movie, the play, a low-budget audience participation homage to the iconic movie. So the caption again, image commissioned for the digital and print marketing of Titanic the Movie, the play, A low-budget audience participation homage to the iconic movie. By majority, this print scores 85, silver with distinction. Kelly, can I have a comment, please?
Oh, well done. I'm glad this got silver distinction. To nudge it up a few more, I think the subject in the bottom left, I think the lighting that's sort of falling across the face and that really strong highlight, and they're a little bit a touch sort of out of focus compared to the rest. I love that they've just given us this comical aspect to it, and we're not meant to, it's a piss take, we're not meant to take it seriously. The fact that they've carried it through with so many cool, quirky elements is pretty rad. Bit more attention to some of those things, it might get up a bit more. Well done.
Thank you, Kelly. And I'll do a quick judges change if I can. Thank you, Farouk. And if I can bring back in Leslie, please. Next print, please. Image created for the Cloakroom Bar in Brisbane CBD to showcase their bespoke offering and experience of being a guest at the bar. In particular, that ice is hand-carved for every cocktail. This print scores 75. Adam, a comment, please?
I really love the energy in the hands and the ice sort of carving. Just the glassware just takes me right out of this image, and I don't think it's necessary to demonstrate this part of the process based on the caption. So just if you've got some frames without that, that'd be awesome.
Thank you, Adam. Next print, please. An aerial view of the Patrick's Automated Container Terminal at Port of Brisbane, part of a series of images in the lead up to Patrick's Terminal's 100-year anniversary in 2019. A unique view of the automated straddles going about the operations is a human-free environment. Thank you, judges. This print scores 86, silver with distinction. A comment, please, from Mel.
Yeah, this is a stunning image of the beautiful composition. I love the way that it flows left to right, and it's almost like a braille texture in colour and shapes and form. The detail aspects, the colour palette, the straight lines, stunning. Congratulations.
Thanks, Mel. Kelly had something to add.
No, didn't miss anything. I think if this image does have the opportunity to go further in another award, I think all the elements are there. I think it needs some fine tuning with just some Photoshop sharpening or something that's not quite there, but I think it is there. I think it could be handled a bit differently and perhaps explored with a different paper or something, but it's so close. All of us were so close that I think a couple of little things could actually make the world of difference to get it up to gold.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. And can we have our next print, please? Image shot to promote a Broadway-inspired show featuring a collection of amateur theatre performers. This image scores 76. Leslie, can I have a comment from you, please?
Yes, I think it's a competent, professional image. Caption suits the image suits the caption, but we're not getting any direct personality coming out of these people who are obviously theatrical performers.
Thank you, Leslie. We'll have our next print, please. ACTO project, Commonwealth Games, Athletes Village.
What was the project?
ACTO project, Commonwealth Games, Athletes Village. This print scores 79. A comment, please, from Adam.
Yeah, very stylistically captured, very competent commercial image. I can't really add too much to sort of say where it would come to another level based on the subject matter, but it's a very well seen and well executed image.
Thank you, Adam. Can we have a blank screen, please? That brings us to the end of the commissioned section of the commercial category, and we're ready to start the non-commissioned section of the commercial category. Sorry, the self-commissioned would be the more accurate term. Yes. Okay, we're ready at the back. We'll have our first print, please. Interesting but usable everyday architecture design, Chicago Airport. This print scores 81, silver award. Kelly, a comment, please.
Just as a suggestion, the reflection that's happening in the bottom foreground really is not enhancing the image at all. It's just quite muddy and a bit lost. Just wonder whether a little crop underneath, and it's really vibrant and party-like. It just needs a bit of oomph in its print quality and its contrast. Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly. I'll do a judges change again, please. Thank you, Leslie. I know you've only been there for a moment. I'd actually love to invite Tony back on the panel, please. Okay, we'll have our next print, please. Next print, please. This image was taken on the 12th of the 4th, 2019 in the campus studio at Billy Blue College of Design in Fortitude Valley. The image was for a commercial assessment piece centred around men's fashion. The model's name is Ekola Williams, and he is a new development model from Vivian's Model Management. Thank you, judges. This print scores 75. A comment, please, from Adam.
Yeah, I mean, nicely sort of executed capture. I probably want to see a little bit more of the model's sort of torso and arm structure, even with a sort of a closer head portrait, and just very much watch your skin retouching. It's probably just needs a little bit more finesse, and the blacks in the printing have definitely kind of been lost. So, you know, be it paper stock or just the way that you've given the file to your printer, just sort of watch that so we get all of the detail that we'd love to see.
Thank you, Adam. Next print, please. Overpopulation and pollution are part of the world's ongoing daily problems, along with the basic human needs, including transportation to reach food markets. The image was created for NGO organisations who work in overcoming human issues, especially in the third world. This image has scored 80, a silver award. A comment, please, from Tony.
I love the colour palette of this and the detail in that. And you get up there and look at this, and there's lots of little elements going in there. And I think a good silver is a nice reward for the photographer.
Thank you, Tony. Next print, please. Reading through a giant pile of books. Thank you, judges. This print scores 74. Jacinta, can you have a comment, please?
Our direction of light, I'm finding, is more emphasised on the front book, so my eyes leading to that point rather than the subject. Also, just watch your whites. That dress is quite magenta tone, and just that distracting element of what we've got in the background is taking away from the subject.
Thank you, Jacinta. Can we have our next print, please? Self-commissioned fashion portrait of model Tallow Montague, Vivian's Model Management, shot for personal portfolio work. Thank you, judges. This print scores 72. A comment, please, from Kelly.
And a few things to consider. I think just the posing of the model, just that sort of straight on one-dimensional pose probably isn't working that well, and the expression I think is just a little bit lost. You know, the printing paper choice, that sort of thing, it's just very lackluster, sort of flat, just needs a little bit more dynamic.
Thank you, Kelly. Next print, please. This image was taken on the 12th of the 4th, 2019 in the campus studio at Billy Blue College of Design in Fortitude Valley. The image was for a commercial assessment piece centred around men's fashion. The model's name is Ekalo Williams, and he is a new development model from Vivian's Model Management. Thank you, team. This print scores 69. With a comment from Adam, please.
From back here, I really quite enjoyed the image. I love the lighting and the sort of pose of the model is quite cool. I guess initially, if is for a fashion folio, we're not really seeing a great deal of detail in the garment, and probably a collar is typically not enough to kind of capture that market. But unfortunately, when you get up close, the subject is just not sharp enough, and that sort of negates all of the positive elements of it. So just making sure that some of those basic technical elements are taken care of first.
Thank you, Adam. Great feedback. Can we have our next print, please? Self-commissioned fashion portrait of model Emily Beardmore, shot for personal portfolio work. Mr. Holden, how are you going with those numbers and fingers? He's not old. Okay, this print scores 70. Kelly, you're right on 70.
A few things, similarly to a couple of the images in terms of just going one way or the other. This sort of feels like a little bit of an in-between, sort of making that commitment to being a much more sort of stronger, more contrasting light. I mean, the other thing, if anyone can even just take away from presentation, like, you know, in terms of the matting, and it's just very uneven and it's not done particularly well to a professional standard, and just paper choice as well. These things are so important.
Thank you, Kelly. Tony's champing at the bit to have a little tiny extra comment.
Just a very quick comment. The left arm, that little piece of skin, that highlight there really needs to disappear.
Thank you, Tony. All very helpful. If we can have our next print, please. Mini Me. This print scores 76. A comment, please, from Jacinta.
Yeah, I was on the fence with this one. I really it's really quirky and I really enjoyed it, but I still wanted a little bit more. Like it says mini me, but it's sort of also I'm looking at like Alice in Wonderland with the teacup, and I'm like, I want a little bit more storytelling, a little bit sharper. Lighting still is a little bit flat, so a little bit more drama.
Thanks, Jacinta. And we'll have our next print, please. The outrigger crew displays strength, fitness, balance and fun to prevent the 13-metre canoe from flipping at the end of the 26-kilometre Norfolk Island Ocean Marathon sequence, created for promotion for Australian Outrigger Canoe Racing Association, for Norfolk Island Travel Centre and sponsors to promote Round the Rock Week. This print has scored 72. A comment, please, from Tony. Oh, so Kelly, you're keen to comment?
Oh, just the overpowering in that luminosity with that blue. It's just dominating everything. But if you actually go in and look at the subjects and how hard they're working, and they've got smiles on their faces, there's cool stuff happening in there. Just getting all the technical stuff would have really, really helped this get up a bit higher.
Thank you, Kelly. Mel, you've got a quick comment.
Yeah, just thinking as well that if this is about keeping a boat upright, visually we're reading down and it's quite complex, perhaps even looking at reading left to right, so it's keeping that level so we're actually then drawn into the boat and the movement that it's doing.
Thank you, Mel. And I'm blessed by one of those coincidences again. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Farouk, can I get you to join the panel, please? It really is coincidental, I promise. Okay, and when we're all settled, we'll have our next print, please. Looking up at the strong design of the staircase of the Medibank Place in Melbourne, an interior which was designed to create a healthy and happy atmosphere, one that is creative but also practical. And we are judging the 2019 AIPP Queensland Epson Professional Photography Awards commercial category. We're in the self-commissioned section, sponsored by Aon. Thank you to Aon. And our panel currently is Jacinta Delben, Adam Finch, Tony Holden, Kelly Tunney and Faru Yuvari. This print scores 83, Silver Award. A comment, please, from, I'm trying to work out who's the keenest to go. Thanks, Kelly.
You want to go? Okay. It's
Thanks,
beautifully done. It's beautifully printed. The color palette is amazing. It's childlike. And it's well-deserved silver.
Thank you, Faru. And we'll have our next print, please. Self-commissioned for Warehouse Series. This print scores 77. comment, please, from Tony.
Striking image. We're seeing a lot of this style of image. So for us, from my perspective, to take this up to an award-winning, there's got to be some other design elements or something else in there. I would suggest to the photographer, just watch the crop on the right-hand side as you look at it. I don't know whether that top little bit of the red needs to be in there.
Thank you, Tony. We'll have our next print, please. One of the interestingly designed staircases offering access throughout the Museum of Contemporary Art, Chicago. Thank you, judges. This print scores 83, Silver Award, and is being challenged immediately by Adam Finch on 88. Adam, you have 2 84s, an 83 and a 78 to work with.
I'll start with what I don't like. There's a couple of tiny little sort of scuff marks on the right-hand side of the image on the floor. You don't need to look at them, they're not that important. And they're the things that stop me from going up further. They're the things that I noticed in close inspection of every element of this image, because it has been executed so beautifully. There's detail everywhere you want to see it, and in a couple of tiny spots that I don't. You've got this beautiful flow from light to dark. It has a sense of airiness, but there still is this sort of a little bit of darkness in it. It's not completely high key. I flow through its perspective, execution, camera choice, camera angle choice. All of these things are really, really well done. I'm in silver distinction at 88, and I'd love you to join me in this area.
Thank you, Adam. Kelly, you're on 78.
Can't ignore the things that you asked me not to. What's happening for me in the top sort of third of the image is just that horizon level is just completely out of whack. There's some fringing on the right-hand side where it's just not been particularly handled very well, and you can see some retouching and some things that have sort of happened in there that haven't been handled as well as they should for a silver distinction. And just a little bit of that depth of field coming through the bottom is just not quite accurate. You know, if it was just a little bit, had a sharper depth of field down there and it was just handled that little bit with a bit more finesse, then yes. But for those things that are just, I'm going to struggle to sort of get it up a lot higher, especially into silver distinction, when those things just feel a bit flawed for me.
Faru, you're on 84.
Yeah, looks like I'm sitting on the fence. I really agree with you, Adam. It's really flowing, moving image. It has a graphic design on it, and all the leading lines just drove your eyes through the whole image. But for me, it looks like two different images. The top is a very powerful, strong image, as the bottom is a powerful, strong. It looks like divided from each other. But I'm listening. The only thing bothered me after dividing these two images, the shadows at the bottom is really powerful and dominant. But I'm really listening to come up to still.
Thank you, Faru. Adam, your right of reply?
Yeah, I think it's actually why I enjoyed it so much is that kind of duality that the image has, and you are kind of battling in a way that darkness, but I never settle there. I keep on flowing through this image. I think if that bottom half of the image or the bottom left of the image was brighter, it would just be a little bit too nice and a little bit too pretty. Life has darkness in it, and I see it in the bottom left-hand corner, but we can avoid it and move our way up into the top.
So, Adam, your score stays at 88. If all other judges could rescore now, please. This print is now 85, silver with distinction. We're going to do a quick judges change. Mel, if you can come back on for Jacinta, please. And we'll have our next print, please. The sand pumping jetty at the Gold Coast Seaway juts 500 metres out to sea and annually collects 500,000 cubic metres of sand that drifts north along the coastline. Image created for Gold Coast City Council depicting engineering infrastructure to keep the seaway safe. This print scores 78. Faru's challenging. Nice and big and bold when you challenge. So Faru, you're on 83. You're working with an 82, two 75s and a 74.
Okay. I gave it silver, solid silver, because it's such a strong industrial architectural picture, and it actually convinced me exactly the picture shows the caption as well. I think well printed. All the leading line, all the engineering, all the pops, everything at the from the mid to the top of the image works perfectly together. And I think it deserves silver. I really encourage you, because this is nice printed. The color palette, everything is quite handled well.
Thank you, Faru. Mel, you're on 74.
I am. And I put it in professional practice. I enjoy the image, and I think the image is relevant to the story and to the context that we were given. It very much is, with the infrastructure, with the city in the background and the foreground of the surf and the ocean that they're trying to protect. The challenge I had was I couldn't actually separate the infrastructure from the background. So I guess I'm looking at, I want to be tonally led to what is important and what is the most important elements of this image. And if it's the infrastructure, I'm really fighting to actually see that and see the separation from the buildings in the background. There's a few things. I don't think an image like this needs a vignette, so I think if you're going to try and draw us in a little bit more subtlety and a little bit more tonal direction as to where we're meant to rest.
Thank you, Mel. Adam on 82.
Yeah, like I'm sort of varying the way I think about this image, and not necessarily my end score, but just sort of my different interpretations of it. I see it as a great interpretation of the brief. I see it from my kind of cynical perspective of a really great documentation of two types of ugly, both the infrastructure and the Gold Coast. But maybe, and sort of to join those two kind of ideas together, is that the infrastructure is as important as the city that is behind. So maybe this separation of them is not as important as we might traditionally think. They are interlinked, and the author has given us that. I'm comfortable it's at a silver level, so I'm at 82.
Thank you, Adam. Faru, for your right of reply.
Thank you, Adam, for your support. Yes, That's the industrial landscape for me. All the details is there. It's sharp. It has visual impact, and I think it has everything to just be a award-worthy picture. The vignette around it doesn't bother me because it could be from a stormy sky at the background. And yeah, as Adam said, I think all the engineering thing at the front, it's perfectly work with the all building at the background. Yeah, I really encourage you to just silver. It's the photographer needs to be award.
Thank you, Faru. Your score stays at 83. If all other judges could rescore now, please. Thank you, Tony. Do you need a support person? You're good. Okay. Fabulous. This print now scores 80, a silver award. Lovely discussion. Thank you, judges. And we'll have our next print, please. This image was taken on 15th of the 4th, 2019 at Vivian's Model Management for the new development models. It was taken in an alley behind Vivian's head office. The subject is standing half in a dark, poorly lit car park. This print has scored 71. With a comment, please, from Kelly. You look at me and I've got you there.
I'd have to just say the connection with the subject. I think it's just there's just not much emotion or connection or anything sort of happening between the subject and the photographer. And I think just the fall off from the background. It's not been particularly well handled with the shadows, and some paper choice is not great either. If that could be looked at.
Lots for the photographer to have a good look at. Thank you, Kelly. And we'll have our next print, please. Unique architecture designed for daily use, Chicago Airport. This print scores 80, silver award. Mel, can I get a comment from you for this print, please?
You can. I think this is a really beautifully a bright and colourful image. It's got a lovely colour palette through. In terms of improving it, I would love to see some of the lines just a little bit crisper. I'd love to see some of those tiny little wires and like little neon lines through it. They could be really cool if they were accentuated almost like light trails, and maybe just looking at in the top right-hand area, there's that little colour shift in the blue section into the green. Maybe look at experimenting with that as to whether cleaning that up might assist in going higher.
Thank you, Mel. And we'll have a quick judge change if we can. Thank you, Faru, for your time again on the panel. And Jacinta, are you good to come back in? We welcome you back. Mel thought she was going because she was the last to speak. I thought I'd break the pattern. Thank you, judges. And we'll have our next print, please. Love Hurts at the Brisbane Fringe Festival weaves together stories of modern dating gone wrong for use in print, web and social media marketing. And we are judging the 2019 AIPP Queensland Epson Professional Photography Awards commercial category, sponsored by Aon. And just that caption again, Love Hurts at the Brisbane Fringe Festival weaves together stories of modern dating gone wrong for use in print, web and social media marketing. By majority, this print scores 79. Jacinta, can I have a comment, please?
Just the subject on the left, to me was a little bit contrived. Her expression on her face just didn't seem quite realistic. And I was a little bit confused by the images in the background on why they were reversed, and just trying to get the story relevant to the caption that was read on why it's gone wrong today. Like, there's images of men in the background and characters, but just correlating all together the story.
Thank you, Jacinta. And we'll have our next print, please. This image was captured for the intended purpose of showing hands-on workmanship by members of the Queensland Master Builders Association. This print scores 65. A comment, if I may, sorry? Yep, from Adam.
Yeah, I guess it's tricky in this category. It's got to be, thinking about end use and the sort of you probably have to go either full colour or full black and white, but also if it is for commercial purpose, having someone that's not abiding by the law and having sun-safe equipment on and all of those things becomes quite complex. So just being conscious of those things as well.
Thank you, Adam. May we have our next print, please? The purpose of the image is to draw the relationship between the shopping centre and the city. Both represent a modern, attractive destination and are in close proximity to each other. People have been included to add scale and a sense of daily life. Thank you. Judges, this print scores 71. Tony, can you comment to the print, please?
Yeah, I would suggest that the processing needs to be looked at. It's just a little bit overworked as far as I'm concerned. The other element is that top part of the roof, I'm guessing in the 2/3 way in, I don't think it needs to be there. Yeah, it's on its way, but just needs to look at some technical issues.
Thank you, Tony. Next print, please. The human desire to overcome, to gather strength and resolve, and survival is universal. This image was created for a book and exhibition project on the theme of women's power and empowerment. Farouk, can you jump on for Mel, please? So the caption again, the human desire to overcome, to gather strength and resolve and survive is universal. This image was created for a book and exhibition project on the theme of women's power and empowerment. This print scores 76. Adam, a comment?
Yeah, look, I loved the image from back here, and then unfortunately there's sort of no discernible sort of sharp element in there. Even if it was the hair, it's sort of there's not enough detail then to love it. But yeah, the idea is definitely there. Just sort of getting the technical sort of elements just that little bit more perfect would be awesome.
Thank you, Adam. And we'll have our next print, please. Self-commissioned commercial fashion image of model Martina Zata for personal portfolio. This print scores 71. Can I have a comment, please, Jacinta?
Yeah, colour palette first. It's really, really saturated in the face, and we've got green tones going through. The background of the whites is quite muddy. Really confused on why the subject's eyes are actually closed. And what we're photographing, if it's fashion, is at the jumper. It just, needs a bit of work.
Thank you, Jacinta. May we have our next print, please? Okay, I'm suffering a technical difficulty. Just bear with me. Okay. This image was captured for the intended purpose of showing hands-on workmanship by members of the Queensland Master Builders Association. Thank you, judges. This print scores 69. Mel, can I have a comment, please?
Yes, I'd love to, in this image, I'd love to see a little bit, sort of more harshness and sharpness, if we're looking at this chiselling sort of concept. Also maybe look at your lighting, look at potentially squaring up some of your areas, and just look at your print or file handling.
Thank you, Mel. Next print, please. Lovely legs. This print scores 73. A comment, please, Kelly.
I think take out the red dress lady, potentially. It's just the retouching around that, and that sort of the cutting and fringing around it just hasn't been done particularly well. Just that really strong saturation and luminancy, and that red is just taking away everything. But I think personally, shots in the background, take that out. It's tops. I really would have liked to have seen that.
Thank you, Kelly. Next print, please. Self-commissioned fashion portrait of model Rachel Kwaja, shot for personal portfolio work. This print scores 71. A comment from Mel.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at these images, remember that we're using light to actually draw attention to where we want it to direct. So the brightest element in this image is that white highlight in the shoulder. So really look at maybe lighting for the face, and also just look at maybe increasing some of the sharpness and being specific on where you want us to go.
Thank you, Mel. And we'll have a blank screen, please. That brings us to the end of our Aon-sponsored commercial category at the AIPP Queensland Epson Professional Photography Awards. In addition to being the end of the AIPP Queensland Epson Professional Photography Awards. Thank you for everyone for being here. Thank you to all our judges. Thank you, Claire Pinder, for being my panel chair assist, and thank you for the people at the back. We've got Sarah, Meredith and Ralph in this room. Thank you for your help on this category, and I'm sure we've got Alison coming in shortly. Oh, and here's Gary.
Sound. Okay, have we got everybody from out